Okay, ready?
We're good.
Perfect. The meeting here this evening is Planning Commission. It's 7:05. The first item on our agenda is public hearing. Following the public hearing, we'll go into our regularly scheduled Planning Commission meeting. The public hearing, the notice has been posted. As to the subject of the public hearing. One area is to amend Title 5, 6A, 6, parenthesis B1, which would preclude roosters in the city. We've had a number of complaints about them, and right now we do not allow swine or male goats, and we're proposing to add roosters to that restricted list. So that's one item that individuals are welcome to comment on. The second area has to do with the modifications to our city code title 10-4-5 parenthesis D that has to do with required drawings and information on side plans. And we're some of this has been kind of happening already. We want to formalize it with the changes in the site plan. Right now, the site plan calls for a scale to be 1 inch equals 30 feet. And we're proposing the change to that, and 1 inch equals 20 feet. The 30 feet is just a little bit too large to determine some of the detail on a plan, and so we're suggesting that it be changed to 1 inch equal 20 feet.
What sort of plans do you really require? What sort of size of plans required?
It's all digital. It's all on a computer now. So we haven't. The old site plan required, I think, 4x36, but we've gotten away from that. They don't require. We're not requiring that anymore. Just the what's on the computer, which is all on the computer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, the location of the lot. The site plan requires it to be in scale form. There's really nothing served by doing that. And so we're suggesting that the location sketch not be done to scale. A change with that. And that's what we've been getting for the past while anyway, so. And then section D16 of the code has to do with finish and natural grade contour lines. And right now it's showing that they need to be well further than 5 feet apart. And that again presents a problem and doesn't give us some of the detail that we need. So we're proposing that be changed to 2 feet instead of 5 feet. And we've been getting that a lot on the site plans anyway.
Yeah, so these criteria that are here now is kind of what the checklist shows, right?
It's what we wanted to show.
Well, the current checklist, I think, does show these.
It shows 5 feet.
Does it?
Yeah, I think so. But we'll verify that.
There's,
Yeah, most of them. I mean,
Almost everything.
It's not 2 feet.
We're getting about 1 and 2 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine, it's perfect.
pretty much.
Ordinance says 5.
The ordinance says 5 on our checklist, I think does say 2.
Okay.
So we're just gonna make
This
some
ordinance
ordinance.
to be check with.
Well, that's.
Yeah. That's why I think there's going to be two. Also, a number of months ago, there was a change in our water line requirements to meet the fire flow standards, and we haven't changed the. In fact, it's not even on the checklist specifically. So we're proposing to put on there that 1.5 inch lines be used for city standards for fire flow. So
can some of
that
them
will
be
be on the
larger?
site plan, so they'll have to provide that detail as a note, or wherever the connection is, and indicate it's a 1.5 inch connection.
So they couldn't go larger.
They can, but that presents problems too.
It's a bigger meter, which means that it will cost them more than. And once you get into 3 inch, then you have to start putting meters and walls and all that stuff. So it's-
Yeah.
generally there's most of
A
them.
lot of the water goes for 1 inch, I think. Yeah.
They have been, yeah. But they look at it and felt that it needed to be.
No, the inch, that's fine. It's good show down, just as opposed to the meter.
And that's for all, because I don't come there 1.5 over 100 feet, but now it's 1.5 for everything.
Yeah, it was when I built.
Each.
They've been doing that. It's just-
Mine had to be an inch and a half for this, that's something.
Yeah,
So,
That's pretty big.
and then. the-
yeah, probably. You have fire sprinklers in your house? Yes.
We're going to add another note if we want. It says that all construction will be in accordance with Woodland Hill City ordinances and development construction standards. So individuals don't understand that they've got a code that they need to adhere to, and that's on the site plan.
So the development construction standards, there are construction standards
Correct.
for developers. You're talking this for developers.
Well, some of these development construction standards can apply to the site plan requirements too. As far as grading, as far as compaction potentially, depending on what they're doing around the building and that sort of thing. So we just want to make sure that they're, and we have the ditch standards on there, the culvert. So those are part of the home plan. So we just want to make sure that if there's something relative to a lot development, that they have to follow that.
I know we talked about at some point
We have-
separating those, and I think that'd be wise because they want to create some issues with people misinterpreting. Applying development construction standards around their home that shouldn't be applied, trying to shift liability to the city for things their contractor was doing. And so I think with that, at some point when it is, that's what concerns me about.
We should look at it. Our attorney has kind of discouraged that a little bit. But certainly if things could be broken out, I think it's better to do that. So we'll take a look at that. Which right now is just one that.
Specifically with compaction, where it wasn't. Compaction inadequately around the foundation of the house, and homeowner was saying this is basically put a report saying it's his fault for not checking his contractor for compaction requirements, and that shouldn't be a city requirement. It should be the city liable for that. So if we put that in the construction standard and say you were required to adhere to this, then you've taken on some of that liability to make sure it happens. That's where you gotta be careful what you're saying happens around home versus what mostly development construction standards apply to things that people are building that the city always get on. And then you have requirements around a house that fall usually under the IBC. And you're trying to put that on the homeowner, not the, you want the city taking liability for that kind of stuff. And that's that was one specific issue that came up. So
So you would just say city ordinances and development standards? Not construct, no, not.
No.
well, that's just a document.
But it's one document, yeah, the development construction standards.
But at some point, I think it would behoove us to look at that a little deeper, and make sure that we're not putting liability on the city by requiring that requirement.
So those are the changes.
So are we looking to have this as a note on the plan? We put it here,
Yes.
so as we go through our checklist, at some point, we need to find out where we should.
Yeah.
So question, in the past, when we were paper, not digital, Corbett had a rack of stamps. That he had on the plans. Is that something he still does in this digital world, or he wants to know?
No, I don't think he does that anymore, does he, Jody? Use those stamps. It's all on the.
So he's making sure that's on the digital copy now in some form.
I mean, the,
My question is
it hasn't been consistent in the past, and that's why we want to make it consistent here with an ordinance. So. So those are the subjects of the public hearing tonight. I'll open up comment for anybody who chooses to wants to make a comment about any of those changes. But very glad to have you with us tonight. Very good.
Hey Wayne,
Yes,
on D20, the water line's 1.5 inches.
yes,
So just to clarify, that would apply to the water line from the city water main in the road to the home.
yes.
In the rare
Through the
case,
meter.
from the meter, yeah, meter to the home.
Yeah,
Okay. In the rare situation where if a home is more than 200 feet and you have to add the fire hydrant, that's totally
that's a whole
separate.
separate issue.
Yeah.
That's separate. Because that comes out of its own line, not part of.
Right, that doesn't go through the meter, that's straight from the water main, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's gotta be from the main to the house. Like,
yes,
you have.
from the water meter. I don't know if it comes off the main.
Yeah, it's from the water meter to, it's. From the water meter to the house, as far as the concerned on the same.
Yes,
Part of that, you've got the development standards that somebody else's.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Are we now creating something where we have 1 inch from the main to the meter? And then 1.5 inches from the meter to the house?
that was already addressed somewhere or another, I'm not sure what, how, in the development and construction standards, that was changed for fire flow. So I don't know how particular addresses that. Jody, do you know if that 1.5 inch line runs from the main to the water meter and into the house, or just from the water meter to the house? The
And
1.5
when you're in an
line.
individual house plan, it's gonna be from the meter to the house, because that's what's required of a house plan. When you're talking about a developer putting in development,
There's,
they gotta put. the
I think
service
they've got to
in.
do 1.5 inches as well. Because if I'm not mistaken, that was changed.
That was a change we made in the
Development
development.
construction standards.
Yeah.
When did we develop?
So
That would be something.
So that 1.5 inches would be on our preliminary or our plat approval
That's what I think.
drawing, yeah, okay.
They were-
So it's 1.5 inches all the way.
All the way, but as a developer, who's responsible to the meter? Yeah.
Lower the rest.
Yeah,
Probably ought to just confirm we've got that in the development standards. And are we putting it 1.5 inch meters, because the city sets the meter, right? So they're inch meters.
There's,
does that defeat the purpose or?
No, it necks down, it'll increase the pressure.
It'll increase the velocity.
Yeah, increase the velocity for that.
You'll lose-
It's a volume, that 1.5 inches, you're after volume. And so you at least, I mean, in all honesty. Even 1.5 inches, it's gonna require what, 2 heads in the house maybe? On the sprinkler.
Yeah, you'll probably get, about 1.5 inches, you'll get. Water gallons. You could.
It's not meant to run the entire house. It's just.
Have a sprinkler, the only sprinkler has to kick on one.
it's 2.8.
You have to run over the fires.
So you take on wherever it's.
So it goes, it got all this.
And that was changed.
It was changed by the 2022-24 ordinance.
It has been changed.
Is it in our actually standard?
22, yeah,
And also-
that's 2022-24. It was changed.
So it's been in our typical drawings, I guess is what I'm asking.
In the narrative of part of the development and construction standards that was changed.
It
I don't
says,
I don't know if we have a drawing on that or not. Sarah.
So we can
just a minute, so-
I just want to make sure we're reading some speech. Yeah, an inch meter, what happens is the water gets there, and you pick up velocity through the inch meter, and so it'll be higher velocity and. You lose a little bit of pressure, a couple pounds maybe because of that,
Not for short distance.
not to make it work. Shoot.
It says prior to the installation of the water service line, the engineer retained by the developer shall stake out the water meter location and provide the grade at which the lid is to be set. All water service lines shall be 1.5 inches in diameter and shall start with a corporation stock at the main and shall be of type K or da 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 da.
Okay, copper.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We allow packs.
Blue polypropylene pipe. It doesn't say that packs, it says SDR
Yeah.
and CTS, is that it?
Standard nation.
And then, yeah, and then it talks about the lid not being more than 22 inches from. Or the yoke not being 22 inches from the lid of the meter box that is shall the dual but check valve. And that's ordinance 22-20.
but I don't know if that's shown in picture anywhere, you know.
There's no pictures shown on this one that was passed. For the development and construction standards,
Where do we hide those things? Oh, there they are.
yeah, it's under 22-20. But
Any other comments?
Nope, thank you.
Comments
got
here?
goats, you want goats.
I was wondering why only Dale goes, like, where's the?
Yeah, I'm not sure. The roosters, I am. Prior to that, the roosters were more, could be still dealt with under a nuisance clause, right?
Correct.
But now this is just very specific,
Yeah.
which is, this is good. Yeah.
I
I
think,
I had a rooster behind me that started at about 4 in the morning,
Hmm.
not at sunrise, but at 4 in the morning. So it's-
yeah,
so I'm appreciative of this.
That's what it is. Got a 1 inch water shirts detail.
so the drawing needs to be changed.
That's what the numbers will look at when you're building these.
when we changed the ordinance, we probably overlooked.
Can you give us what?
To the-
Can you give us what illustration number it is in this?
Not done all these in Canada.
You were like, would be done.
Not me, but someone can. I mean, I think it would give you Canada because when you go boom, 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 it's all on your sketch on.
They'd have to keep it in spots. So yeah.
Okay, I made a note of it and
All right.
sent it to myself.
I don't have it and it doesn't. ruin me.
Larry, any comments on your end? None. Okay, thank you. All right, there will be no further comment, we'll close the public hearing. And we'll go into our regular planning commission meeting. Ed, would you lead the pledge allegiance? And Laura, would you offer an invitation for us to? What's present, would you have words?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we come before you at the opening of this planning commission meeting and thank you for our many blessings. We are grateful for this community, for the chance that we have to serve. And we ask you to please help us tonight that we'll be able to have clear minds as we go through the items to be discussed. Please help us to do our best to represent the people in our city. And we again thank you for the good people here and for the cooperation that is felt. We say this in thy Son, Jesus Christ, amen.
Thank you. So we, I can probably turn that off. Did you get my message about I'll be in tomorrow, come in tomorrow?
I'll see you tomorrow.
So, okay. Very good. Thank you.
And John, I sent you that landscape plan that you're looking for with your guidance scoreboard.
Okay, my email. Thanks.
Okay, the first item is approval of September 21, 2022 planning commission meeting minutes. Sent them out to everybody. I got a response from Severin saying they look good to him, so. There's no other changes or corrections, so I'll take a motion. To approve those.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of September 21st.
All right, is there a second? Second. All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you. The next item is the consideration of the ordinance having to do with the roosters. 5-6A -6B parentheses. Any discussion that anybody wants to? On that, it's just a real word change, inserting rooster there in that one line. We're given.
Quick question for me.
Yeah.
So what about those that currently have roosters? Are those ordinance now, is there any grandfather?
No, it's the nuisance clause, I already took care of that, that's just clarification.
Yeah, we'll give them time to, we'll notify them or complaints come up. And that's.
Can you do that quite often?
Yeah.
The credit has been,
Yeah. So we'll give them the letter and, you know, give them time to get rid of them and then. Okay, I'll take a motion to recommend approval or not. Okay.
With elation.
Okay, motion from John
To add that additional verbiage with the rooster.
I'll second.
Okay, Larry second.
Mark is seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next item is the recommendation of amending our site plan to add to or take from, make the changes that were outlined in the meeting. I guess for purpose of this meeting, let me just review those. In D1, which is the site plan outline, we changed the scale from 1 inch equals 30 feet to 1 inch equals 20 feet. The other one would be change the location sketch to read that it does not need to be done according to scale. The next one on D16 is to require the contour lines, both finished and natural, to be 2 feet, no more than 2 feet apart. And unless for some reason the building official doesn't feel that that's needed, then it can set its own requirements, but we'll change the site plan to read no less than 2 feet apart unless approved by the building official.
Question on that, Wayne.
Yes,
So based on that, I'm assuming that we are requiring both natural and finished grade contour lines.
we are. Unless the building official wants to waive one of those.
I just know sometimes it's indicating both.
The next item and under D20 question is to make sure that it's included in the site plan that there's a 1 1/2 inch water line connection per city standards. Include that on the site plan. And the last one, there's a new note, it would be in D21, that all construction will be in accordance with Woodland Hill city ordinances and development and construction standards. So those are the changes that we made to that. Take a motion. Anybody to approve all of those changes or portions of them, whatever you feel.
Make a motion to make the changes. In city code title 10-4-5, parentheses D, required drawings and information. To add the verbiages as stated here.
Okay, is there a second for that?
Second.
Okay, second by Ted. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. That takes care of the public hearing issues. I wanted to briefly touch on mitigation work on city property. And that has to do with Mr. Tour and the proposal that he's working out with the city. You want to talk briefly about that, Rod, just from your understanding of what you'll be doing?
You bet. Only just to thank the city. We've been planning this almost 7 years now. I think we had a kid in middle school and one just starting high school, and now they're both graduating. So I'm excited. We're at the final stage at the beginning. So, we're just thrilled. We want to thank Ted for working so hard on the engineering plan, and I think we've got the engineering plan that makes sense. We have the city council and the mayor vote unanimously for it. We appreciate that. And we're working with Ted, who's our point of contact, in as well as Corbett, to get some of the paperwork together. My team's ready to go. We staked it exactly according to the plan, stamped plan. So that's complete. And we're just waiting for the thumbs up, and then we will have a big piece of equipment up there and move a little bit of dirt. And all my guys say this is super easy. This is not hard. This is just moving some dirt, and it's net zero. So I think it should go pretty fast.
Okay,
Thank you.
good. We'll do what we can to help move things forward
Thank you.
and facilitate that.
We are prepared to post the bond. I'm learning this. I don't do this. I'm an accountant, so I don't even know what this language is, but we're going to post the bond. Ted's going to tell us what that needs to be, and I hope it's within the realms that we expect. And then we'll do a cash bond.
$1 million. Right, check.
To you. And so I think we're days away from, I hope it's not more than days away, and just getting the liability release for the city. And then we'll be
Okay. Very good. Anybody have any questions?
I know it's been a while coming.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's worth it. I saw sorry.
That's right.
It's been, we just love this land. So beautiful. I drove up, I was like, oh, so beautiful. So thank you.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to it.
Enjoy living here. Thank you.
Maybe just a quick adder to that. So we've been working on. Part of the reason that we ended up doing the design for this is it was kind of started off as a city project, but changed directions a little bit. But in addition to that, we've been working on a mitigation project. So with the RCS, and we had to do a portion of the design, 30% design of that. So this is meant to be something that would be kind of incorporated, work with that. So that in the future, we're not having to redo everything and so that's kind of why it ended up going this route.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
It does.
and it's very, and like Todd said, it's a pretty straightforward project. It's not gonna be that difficult. I can't imagine it would take much more than a week.
Yeah, at the most.
And there's no hauling in or out there. It's not just be net.
Relocating.
Other than, the only thing I'll talk about is just, if there's some of the topsoil stuff, trees and whatnot that haven't been removed, we have to. So getting some of that out, but other than that, it's kind of a net zero, just moving stuff around up there to create a burn.
Yeah, we're thrilled. Would you like me to stay for the remainder of the meeting?
You don't need to.
Okay.
There's no vote to be taken or anything on it, so.
Perhaps, Ted, we could just talk and outline steps. I know we're both kind of new to this process, but maybe either later tonight or at your convenience tomorrow, we'll just get the steps right and tell me where to send the bond, and then we'll do that.
Does your contractor send you a quote?
Yes. Yeah, so he said, with the equipment on site, he thinks it'll take him between 20 and 40 hours. And he's about $45 an hour to run the equipment.
And so you gotta get the equipment on site and how.
Yeah. So I can get equipment in a day or so. There's a bunch of equipment sitting around right now for some reason, so it's only a day or two notice and they'll deliver it. And then, so what is that? 45, or 40 hours times
$45, so, you know, it's not a lot. Yeah.
But you can make it.
$1,800
Then I can even sit down.
for labeling. And then it's just getting, yeah, right, $45. 35 times 40 hours. Yeah,
Yeah, so the cost that we generally put together, just FYI, will be, is as if something you abandon the project, the city had to finish it, sure, it'll cost them. Don't mind me more what your guy quotes, but it's still. It's all money, it goes back to you.
okay,
You know, it's nothing, once it's done, you get the money back.
no worries.
But I'll finish putting that together. So I think the plans, you've got approved plan set. We'll finish the bond requirement amount, probably first in the morning, we can finish that up. And then you'll post the bond. Once that's done, then we schedule a pre-construction meeting. We'll meet you, your contractor, probably named.
Okay.
In the city, just so everyone's on board, what's gonna happen, but before that meeting probably happens. We'll need to just verify that the mayor has what he needs in place. Of course. And then we'll have the meeting, and then once the meeting's done, you're free to. Forward. So I think the key thing is gonna be getting what the mayor needs on his side.
So they'll release liability or something like that, so.
Yeah, I'll talk to Corbett in the morning too, and I know the mayor wrote this email and was kind of specific on that, so that she'd give us to put in, okay, here's the 5 areas that need to be further addressed and kind of status on those, and so we can move that forward.
Perfect. We'll get her done.
Okay, very good.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mark. You bet.
Shake your hands and say thank you. Neighbors, hopefully say thank you, Nate.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kate.
Would like to change on?
Thank you.
Okay, bounce around here just a few things. One of the city councilman, Ben, Hedner, has suggested a change in our fencing ordinance, particularly having to do with gardens. There's a limit that probably is not a very good height limit right now in our ordinance. I think it's 8 or 10 feet.
How high can a deer jump?
Yeah.
6 they can clear, 8 they can't,
They can't clear range.
but they can clear 6.
I think that's maybe that I misspoke, but I think that's what our ordinance says now, 6 foot.
6 foot,
Garden fence. So he's suggesting that the height requirement be extended and that the area to encompass a garden be enlarged. And I, from the little review that I've done, I don't see an issue with either one of those, but I wanted to have a discussion a little bit. No ordinance has been written or anything, but when they talk about the size of a garden, some people have particularly large gardens, some with larger lots, and technically they can have 2 gardens. So it doesn't make any sense to limit the size of a garden if they want to have their whole backyard as a garden. That's something we need to consider, but certainly maybe enlarge the amount of space that we're that our current ordinance says. I think it's something like 200 or 300 square feet for a garden, and some gardens are much bigger than that.
That's. So our, I guess, so our ordinance, what does it say about garden? You can only have gardens 200 square feet.
It is. The person can say, well, I've got 2 gardens in my backyard, so one is the size limit of the ordinance, let me find that. And the other one is similar, so unless we further restrict and say you can only have one garden, and this is the maximum size of it, which we could do that. Our ordinance is lacking in that area. And you might have heard of the garden.
Let the garden be out by the street.
You know, that's a good question. I don't.
We have, this one's, it's, yeah.
The fencing presents a problem for him to have that tall fence.
But you still consider to be a loophole for people to put a fence up by the street and say that's because of their garden.
Eight foot fence for mistaken us, and our ordinance is 6 feet.
Well, it seems wise, but I'm confused.
Why would we want to tell people? What size fence to put up in there?
Because we have a limit of 6 in the division of 6.
So
So what we're saying, on there, so the deer doesn't.
we'll just say that they could put it.
I would say. Yeah, so what
They-
you're saying
they-
is you don't have to, but you can put up in.
Yeah, but okay, but so what if the guard's on the perimeter and then they have an 8-foot fence on the perimeter, are you okay with that?
No, I'm just thinking, I'm trying to figure out what ordinance says what he's asking. Is it? We now say. So you can't have no higher than a 6-foot fence around the garden?
That's what I put in the max.
Okay, and now they're saying they want 8.
And they're realizing they're feeding the deer to the 6 foot.
Yeah. As I said, they're not smart enough to put up a fence, I don't know, we want to tell them.
I don't want permission.
Fence around my garden. Is 8 feet,
Yeah, it's like your neighbors, isn't it?
but it was built before the fencing ordinance.
Yeah.
The lady who used to live in Wayne's house came over once because she thought my kids had cut off all of her rosebuds.
That's like candy to the deer.
I know, it was the deer. She found that out soon after.
I just don't do a garden here. I don't do fruit trees there.
We could already greenhouse. Easy.
Okay. Let's see.
It's
It's under, permit is not required for construction of a fence
greenhouse.
around a small group of trees or landscape feature if the total enclosed area does not exceed 200 square feet. Around a garden or animal enclosure, if the total enclosed area does not exceed 600 square feet. However, a garden or animal enclosure must comply with all other requirements of this section. And all other requirements limit the height of the fence to 6 feet. So it's 600 square feet, which is pretty good size. Yeah, 20 by 30. And then the 6 foot. So that's what I know. Several, when we were looking at the fence ordinance before and made some changes to it. Several felt that there was maybe a point to be made with redoing the whole fence ordinance and putting it more. Making it more.
Well, it's not consistent between the lower part of Woodland Hills and the upper part of Woodland Hills.
So any thoughts that any of you have on?
My
Particularly
concern,
garden.
yeah, my concern is if you did bump it up to a higher fence, so you would be, if the guard is on the perimeter of the lot, then you've got an 8-foot fence on the perimeter. Is that a concern? Or would it have to be set back in if it's gonna be the 8-foot?
If we, well, it depends on how we write it, but if it says, here it says. It must comply with all of the requirements as a section, so.
So it could come forward in front of the house.
Right, and it could be on the street. that tall fence on the street side. So.
I mean, you could, the way it's written now. Is you could put that fence on the property line
At 6 feet,
and 6 feet.
yeah, you could.
As long as it was not on the road side of the property.
Yeah, it has to be back to ours, it can't be.
It's gonna be behind the house.
But do we care if people have a bigger garden?
That's what I know. Remember that 600 feet garden? I
I mean,
mean,
it's enclosed,
Yeah,
I
but.
think is the way that word. Yeah. They can do bigger, it just can't be.
what they use for doing it. So we kind of. Is that just because why?
I don't know how arbitrary that 600 feet is.
And just why we want to tell them how big their garden could be enclosed, even if it's enclosed or not. We're basically saying this is the size of, especially one of the hills. You basically said you got a 600 foot garden.
I mean, the Anderson's garden is a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know we've already got a bunch of bigger than that.
That's gotta be a couple thousand, I'm thinking.
Yeah, and the fence is higher than 6 feet, but it was built again before the fencing ordinance. Theirs was built before mine was.
That's what I'm wondering, why are we restricting an enclosed garden to 600 square feet?
I don't know.
That almost seems like that gets a little too
Invasive.
invasive.
Yeah.
I mean, they can have a small garden or maybe as a large garden as they want. As long as they meet the,
Especially the broker prices keep them
standard,
standard.
yeah. So. Think about that going forward and we'll see about maybe making some changes in that. Has to be a public hearing on it. Thing, so that there may be some.
We did water use as an issue
For the 600.
for large gardens. I
If
don't,
that was an issue without no swimming pools.
yeah, well, yeah,
One time full, but still evaporates and there's more water down it. They want to pay for it. You know, that's, again. Are we getting overly restrictive and the requirements?
People have big yards and that.
They want to do that. So. Okay, well, here's some thought that talk about it further. Severin. I put on everybody's desk an email that Severin sent to me sometime. About looking at basements, changing some definition, and also finish grade, definition of finish grade. We'll talk about it tonight and maybe some other meetings. I don't want to make any decisions in the near future. That would have an adverse effect on other things going on in the city. But I think there's I think Severin's raised some good points there that maybe are worth considering and looking at further to down the road. Severin, I don't want to speak for yourself. If you want to go ahead and share some of your
You know, as I look at this, and I think I said this before, the reason I made this proposal is because there was a long time that I didn't understand. The definition of the basement was it had to be 4 feet below the adjoining finished grade. What I didn't recognize was elsewhere in definitions, finished grade is defined at the front of the house. Now, how the front of the house is adjoining a walkout basement makes no sense to me. And that's why my proposal here really is to bring the two definitions together so that we understand, it's easier to understand just what the definition of a basement is. And the other problem that I saw was that as we refine our definition of how we determine building height, we have a finished grade plane, we have a natural grade plane. And then we've got the definition of a finished grade being in the front of the house. And so that, it seems to me that maybe we need to try to see if we can do something to correlate those two numbers. Does that make any sense?
So. Yeah, just putting this in visual context. For me, yeah, that's the definition, say like. At the front of the house. The grade is only 3 feet below the finished floor. At the back of the house is 5 feet below the finished floor. Or 6 feet below, or 8 feet. Where you, essentially you could have a walkout out the back, it's still not considered a basement because the front is. At 3 feet.
Now, the other issue that I saw was that if, we live in a very hilly city. And if you've got a house that's built on a hill like this, okay? So the front of the house, this end of the house, the basement's probably 8 feet below the finished grade. But on this end of the house, it may be at finished grade. Is that a basement?
That's my house. My house.
Nowhere does it say that it has to be an average of 4 feet below the finished grade at the front of the house. It just says 4 feet below the finished grade. I would say that you could read that to say at one point. It's 4 feet below and therefore it's a basement.
The way that the decisions that I've been involved with, we've looked at that as a 51%.
And it doesn't.
I know, but it doesn't say, like you said, if there's one point in there, you can interpret it, but that's kind of the way that we've looked at it. And people have accepted that as okay.
Right, and there is one group of people in the city that have said, and it kind of goes along with the 51%, that it's an average of 4 feet below the finished grade. But it doesn't say that in the ordinance.
We've taken the requirement of stories out of the building height, so.
Yes,
So it's longer than the building height calculation.
But it's still 2-story.
well, it's still
Still
2 story,
Right, but it's.
but it's not in the height,
Right, it's not in the height,
right?
it used to be high density where you.
Yeah.
So I think maybe. It's not a bad idea because of that.
I think to clarify, I think there's something to be said for that. And
Maybe look at some other cities in the area, just see how their regions on that, see if there's something.
did you take that on, Severin, in your spare time?
There's
no, not in a rush to do this, but I think it's worth pursuing. So, just as your time allows, take a look at some of that a little bit and see. And we'll kind of keep it on maybe an ongoing discussion
Okay.
with things. But I think it does need some clarification. So forth, so.
So people can build a house with the basement and 2 other stories.
Yes.
That way we're.
Working with the 35.
Okay,
Yeah.
but
Assuming they have. the
could
basement.
you go down, have a couple
Well, you could have a basement.
underground and then just.
It's not that basement, that's.
We've got a house
It's probably gonna be 2
to
to
have a basement that goes 4 feet below the basement.
Could you have 2?
Some things. Bigger things. Because they've got. Sport courts in their house. That are below the basement level. They're further down.
It's just,
So that the floor level is here. And the one basement is here, the other one. It's same floor, you know, so it's a higher. Structure,
lower in the ground.
yeah.
It was behind a 3-story or 2-story house.
Depends if you got a basement or not.
Well, now it comes back to the definition. We're thinking about that closely when we change it.
Yeah.
My grandfather anyway.
It would be good to have that clarification, but
No, I don't know that you're doing fine.
My aunt did.
That's.
The city approved
It's
it.
been around for a long time.
The city approved it. I'll sue.
Right along. Okay.
I just don't know why to find this basement.
But with the front of the house,
Is right at the foundation, may not be right at grade. So. but
and
no, that's
your
your
basement is way below that.
So is the front of
I
the
can
house,
walk out my basement back.
no, is,
So, I mean, you're more than 4 feet below the finished grade in the front of the house.
Above, yeah.
The basement is more, the floor of the basement is more than 4 feet below the finished grade in the front of the house.
is the front of the house always where the front door is?
No,
No,
It's more than 4 feet, so yeah.
let me touch on that. It's a good question, Maureen. We've talked a lot about it. We've got a situation here now where a person has made a request for a greenhouse. And they're making arguments to potentially change what was the front, what was the side, what was the rear. It's an existing home that they moved into. And we, in talking about it here with staff, we've kind of come to the conclusion that the front of the house is determined by the building envelope, the plan for the building envelope with its front, rear, and side setbacks. So a person can put their house any way they want
backwards.
on the house.
I
on the
know that.
Yeah.
So we felt while we'd like to have as much consistency as possible, we'll get into situations where we've got intersecting streets and again, a lot driven by the topography of the lot, what can be built on, what can't be. The building envelopes are defined generally in the subdivision plan. And so, since they're different sizes, sometimes the rear is the same as the front, but the sides are always different. Our thought is, with the city staff here, is to follow what the plat says. It's the front and the rear and side by the setbacks that they've shown there. So,
Because that's how they determined where the building envelope was.
yes, we can see that the building envelope.
and basically what that is saying is that the front of the house is the side of the house facing the street.
What if you're on a corner?
Now, if it's a corner line, I guess
You're
you're
setting
setting
aside
aside.
both sides.
If we leave it that way.
But it's always gonna be different from the front and the rear, from the side.
Front and the rear, two sides on a corner, it's the same. Which one's the front?
No, not necessarily, depends on where you are.
So
So down in Four Seasons,
I'm giving you my
front
example.
setbacks are different.
When I bought my lot, you got Cougar Lane, Cougar Run, and Eagle Nest. Both of those sides
At the same
had
setback.
57. And the driveway was at the address, my lot was actually, that was up by a certain time, that was now Cougar Lane. So I went back and got a variance on this side, got the address changed, and then put my house coming down. But had I not done that, which one would be the front?
And that was before you built, not after you put your house in.
Yeah, I want to make sure I can do all this before I start the building part of the house.
Yeah. But that's kind of the position that we're taking. And
And see, I don't agree. That. Whoever told you that you had to have 50 on the side and 50 on the front,
It's flat, it's on flat.
It was on the plat.
I had 50 on Cougar Lane. And
That's not really what it says, they are
50
on one
on,
dash two.
Well, some of us were told that, and some of us were.
it was actually on the plat. 50 setback on those two sides, that's why I had to go get a variance, because my building envelope was that big, you know, no way I could get a house on it.
Well, I mean, my building envelope is that big too. They hit it,
Yeah. I took a house, even if I would have went a vertical house, I still could not fit a house on there without getting a variance on one of the sides. And because we knew we could come off the flat right without even this, that's what we variance. We're gonna have the right shoot down into that.
And our thought is, once, well, the
Right.
building envelope determines that it's not, won't be changed unless there's a variance request made and extended. And that's what these people with this greenhouse are doing. They're coming up on Monday. They've requested a variance hearing. So they'll come before a hearing officer, independent of the city now, and ask for a variance to give them room to put this greenhouse where they want to put it. So that's kind of where that stands. But,
I mean, we've got, Sean's neighbor. The one that has the front door facing you. And the back door facing both of them. But the setback is 50 feet from the street. And so
that,
front door's not there, but that's their front of their house.
Yeah, their
The
backs,
way,
the back's 30 feet off the property line.
and that's the rear, that would be the normal rear.
That'd be the normal rear, so there's rear setbacks.
So regardless of how the house is positioned, it's, you still got a front setback that's on the street. For that home.
That way out in that house. Setback. So I wondered if they do, because mine didn't.
It's working 33, so even 30 feet is too tight.
And see, here you can tell,
That's mine, that's on mine.
though, here you can tell which is the front, and which is the rear. Because this is the rear, it's 30 foot. That was the rear, this is the rear, so that makes that the front. The front would have been on Bear Hollow. But their house is situated with the front on Eagle Nest, but their front for the subdivision is on Bear Hollow. I mean, yours is the same. Even though you got 250 feet, then you say, okay, which is the side, and which is the rear? Then you go to that's the side,
The sign,
that's the rear, so this would have been the front one.
my address was right here.
Yeah.
Right, we cut.
And that would have been fine, except you needed more space.
Yeah.
So. Okay, trails. I also included on your desk a copy of the trail ordinance that Councilman Ben Hillier did. The point of this whole of this exercise was to restrict the size of UTVs going out switchbacks.
But actually, the purpose wasn't to restrict the size, the purpose was to find a size that worked safely for the trusses.
Meaning restrict the size.
But that wasn't the reason was,
It's the same.
there's a safety reason. Yeah, it wasn't picking on the size of the unit, it's what can be safe there, and what's normal, what's going on. In other places and what works for that, because two motorized vehicles up there, you just can't pass, it's just dangerous. Yeah, even 15 inches, still the challenge.
So, anyway, we haven't had a public hearing on this yet. Ben has already, this part, item 2 under C, he's gonna pick that out.
Yeah, he said he had talked to you, because we had a HR meeting last night, he said he'd talked to you. And hopefully get some clarification.
Yeah, so,
He said that can be dealt with later.
Yeah, I mean, my concern with some of them is it's piecemeal. And rather than just deal with safety on the switchbacks. And that's my reason, my purpose in bringing this up tonight. Do we want to include these other things on it when would they be better for more comprehensive trail ordinance for the city? And I think maybe a little bit, they tried to do this, but right now, the only place it really pertains to is the switchbacks, because we don't have any other trails in the city. So, anyway, I wanted to have a discussion about that and get your thoughts and input on it. With just waiting for to do a more comprehensive trail ordinance, to put some of these things in there, and some of them are good products, good things to do, and just deal with the UTV size. I don't think affects ATVs, UTV size, and or people trying to take Jeeps up there and that sort of thing.
So the biggest concerns with the size, wanting to manage. The hours of motorized use is also a concern.
And this is coincided
Later
with the
just things that are.
curfews. Ordinance, I understand.
We drive with everything else in the city, I don't park everything else.
Wait,
So the dedicated use can be 20, motorized use not.
Correct,
there is a curfew in the city,
yes.
but people can camp up above, so why can't they?
They can walk, they can hike it all night
Why
long.
can't they put their car in the parking lot? Hike it there, camp for several days, why is that wrong?
It's not,
But it says that they can't have their car out there.
There's a sign on the outside, seasonal parking.
we've
Got a lot of cul-de-sacs too, where there's, if Eagles Nest,
Come down there creating all the
Yeah.
problems.
if you go by Ted down there on Eagles Nest, there's a couch and a bed back.
Yeah. There's a big sign right down there, this is no parking after dark.
Then they find taken off in the bushes.
When they did that, I turn down there, see headlights from cars shining right under that sign.
Well,
And sit there.
my house used to be the dead end.
That's actually the truck deals and the other.
What is one of the lots down there? There's
The other Eagles Nest. It's that, oh, yes.
There's a couch out there. They can still sit on and watch the.
And you look right down off the hill with the mattress.
There's a fork too,
Or
one of the lots that backs up to Loafer Canyon, just before the cul-de-sac.
built on Fort, huh?
You go back in the.
oh, yeah, they got halfway through that. That's actually where the couch came from.
Okay,
They had it over there at the fort, and someone took it from there and moved it over to the other side.
and we're gonna throw that away. That's on our lot. We'll get rid of it.
You won't break our, I suggested the city do it, so go for it.
Yeah.
I just can't see the power.
That's the- there, anywhere right now, those are from branches.
So bring it, bring it.
If I see any cars down there on the couch, I go kick them out just because, well, one, it's private property, but. Two, it's a lot of dry grasses, you get cars that are pull back in there by the
Yeah.
couch and park.
Yeah,
That's the biggest worry I have, I don't want that fire to burn the house.
The way this is proposed to be written. When you ever have an improved trail. You cannot ride an electric bike on it,
Right, which is,
which makes no sense.
And that's what I'm gonna command is it says that. If you are, who has mobility disabilities, which my knees bother me. So I'll be riding my ATV on the trails, because I got mobility disability.
Well, you can ride your ATV up.
It's not even approved.
Oh,
And because you can use it in emergency or maintenance purpose, or if you use by a person with mobility disability, so that's pretty nice.
yeah. But there's you talk about.
Get your
on the
tongue
road,
out of your cheek.
You can't do that more than 12 hours. So you can't go up there and camp for a couple of days and leave your car on the road, or you're gonna get ticketed, potentially. Now, if you're parking off the road, like if you took your car over to the park and go down in there, you probably can get by with that, or made arrangements with somebody that you knew to park in their driveway. Then you can do that. You can walk up the trail anytime you want. You just can't take a motorized vehicle up there. So, anyway, we will likely, maybe in November, have a public hearing. I want to talk to Ben further, but I want to get some input from you all, whether we should go with this, with maybe taking a few things out, or just focus on the safety with allowing bollards to put on the trail there now, or what else, if you felt that, again, I just, my concern is that we're piecemealing a trail ordinance.
Yeah, I think my thing that I disagree with mostly is that it has these rules that are applying strictly to the switchbacks. And if we ever come up with more trails, which hopefully we will, we would need to change it. I think it should be specific. Some trails you can do this, some trails, are wide enough for this, not just in general.
Yeah,
And I kind of think we should accommodate good campers that would park somewhere and hike up out of the city.
The challenge is the cul-de-sac are not a good place to park, because you've got safety issues,
Turn around for emergency.
but for us, trying to turn around.
Snow plows.
Snow plows, and I do both of those, it is a nightmare.
The rest is private.
In deep forest up there, dedicated places done now. I think this winter will be a little easier to plow, but it was a nightmare the last 2 years trying to plow that.
what's on our,
Now, I pull out there, if it's bad enough, I go talk to construction guys and say, I will be, the whole rest of this storm, I will not be plowing the street that you guys do. So then I thought they decided they wanted access.
And we've got an ordinance that says no parking on the streets.
During storms, you're not supposed to be in the streets anyway, which we find.
In the summertime.
Yeah, they didn't hurt.
Go along that trail every day, 365 days,
Snowshoe.
big issues.
I agree, there should be a lot of long-term parking on the streets, because that's a lot of safety
It's
issues.
a safety issue.
They are looking at putting. They're originally discussing about putting a parking lot up there in that area. I mean, you're right now, when you go off because of all that property.
Yeah, it's all private, there's this mitigation requirements, they don't want to do it, they do parking. It's gonna end up being undone later.
the other
It's gonna be
recommendation is the city does not have an easement for individuals to go up there and park
Yeah.
and go hiking. So the city can't allow people to use that easement that we got,
Is,
goes up the side of David Taylor's property.
is a private property easement,
Yeah,
and so he's kind of agreed.
City-
What's going to happen with that.
Same with the switchbacks.
That is,
no, switchbacks is.
the
not-
switchbacks themselves is. To get to the switchbacks, on private property, they have some say on that.
That road that goes up to the tank,
That's
that's actually
private.
private.
City doesn't own that.
So we have an easement to use it for city purposes.
That doesn't mean everybody.
And that is Dave Taylor's.
Yes.
We give me-
They didn't give us the easement, Don me can give us the easement, they bought the property with the easement on it, so Dave doesn't even control.
But the easement specific, what is allowed to happen with it, but the parking lot up there is not within purview of that. Yeah. So that he does control. For some future act.
Yeah, to that extent. But he can't say, okay, I now give permission for you all to go up there and use that as a parking lot. He doesn't have the authority to do that. So,
Okay.
anyway, what are your thoughts are on just dealing with the safety issue on the switchbacks and making I guess probably a likely minor change to our existing trail ordinance? And are there other things in here that we want? John mentioned maybe the following the nighttime use, tie it into as far as any ATV going up there.
Yeah, as far as motorized, motorized use. And again, that's a safety thing too, that's.
Can be upon that.
If they on that, it's just,
Yeah,
but it's also a courtesy to neighbors too. And I have motorized vehicles running up on 1 and 2.
yeah.
We have some kid that comes down to our house and just a two, nice four-wheeler. Just all around our house, there's that trailer right down where the sewer line is down at the bottom of the converter.
Yeah.
He goes down there, up there, all 2 in the morning, all around, like
Really?
an hour, he's there, this is four-wheeler, go around the house. Yeah. I got out and looked on it, and I can see the four-wheeler, so that like a kid on it.
Yeah,
I guess it's a kid's allowed to drink water.
Where the parents, yeah, So your thoughts? Larry, do you have any thoughts? Or you don't have this in ordinance anyway, so. But anyway, but. Any brothers?
Well, okay, so on motorized vehicles, I think you need to allow some motorized vehicles that fit on each particular trail, not just say they are all not allowed.
Where's that? What one is that?
Well, like.
C3,
Yeah,
Use any type of cars within.
With
Big-
it,
on the switchback trail or something.
restrict that right now.
Yeah. And then as we add more trails, we can determine what is safe.
I mean, yeah, I know Van's tried to make this all inclusive, but obviously it probably has, some work to do. If you wanted to just make this switchback related, knowing that you'd have to deal with other trails as they came about, that's fine. I
Do
think,
more comprehensive.
yeah, I think his intent was to make it all inclusive, but it doesn't. it's fine, I think.
And then, like you said, there are some electrically propelled little e-bikes and little teeny toys and things that would be fine and are silent. And really small on some trails.
Yeah, then the C1 is, makes no sense to me.
Yeah,
Well, if you go up above, he's tried to clarify improved and.
Why not?
But he's still saying nothing motorized could be on an improved trail.
so
So
maybe
does
we'll
that
have a
mean,
nice, yeah.
Well, improved, I think, would be an asphalt trail.
so you couldn't have an e-bike on it, you couldn't have.
That's where you would have to adjust some
a
verbiage.
scooter with a motor on it.
I think what his intent on that was, is let's say eventually,
Okay.
let's say hypothetically, at some point in the next century, the city manages to finally get a paved sidewalk, /trail up Woodland Hills Drive. And let's just say that happens in the
Yeah,
next millennium, okay? You want four-wheelers on that? It's a pedestrian, you think about pedestrians.
some,
You want-
just streets, some.
So that's what he was trying to address on that there is, and on an improved trail, which would be something that's paved or cemented. If you're gonna let four-wheelers on there and pedestrians, you're asking. You
Well,
gotta-
and I agree, John,
You got a different,
but an e-bike, I don't think it's a problem.
so.
But the way
So then-
you can't have an e-bike.
No, I see, so quite a bit of verbiage.
But I think we don't have.
E-bikes are cheap.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a hard surface.
Yeah. It's not all concrete.
Except for in this definition, is that what we want? Or is that something that when we go down the road in the next millennium? Or are we gonna be changing that definition of what improved trails? We don't even have it in now. So I guess my thought is, let's not address it now.
That's fine. If you want to just take and packages, talk to Ben about just packages for a switchback situation currently, work with that and then keep this information
Sure.
as you move forward for the other, I think it's fine. Gotta start somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think they
We don't
just
have
put
enough.
one specific to the switchbacks and just put what they want for that and leave the rest of it out.
And that would be, at least that's a start.
C3 is the only thing that will remain lodging the same way.
well, I want to talk about the time of using the trail.
Yeah. Well, because both of us live in that area, the width thing, I think, is because I've been up there with guys driving things up there that are too big.
I've been on those two.
With those, yeah, the curfew needs to happen on motorized, because it's annoying to those that live up in the area.
Yeah.
The litter needs to at least be addressed. Animals and their stuff needs to be addressed. The curfew, the trailhead parking's already in place. So these are things that do need to be addressed, whether this is how you address it or not. Those are things that need to be addressed in the hearing.
I think if it's something that carries over to a general trails application, then it wouldn't hurt to address it.
Yeah.
And that part. In the codification, we had a more comprehensive ordinance that had some of those things in it. And we took all that out, and just carried over our limited ordinance that we have.
Which is pretty basic, yeah.
Yeah, very basic. So let me, let's do that, put the things in there that could relate to any trail. But now we want them to specifically relate to switchbacks,
And if that's the direction I go now,
and then have that in there and then.
Lori, on a personal note, I would shut down the trail and say, nobody goes up there and let's just be done. That's my personal opinion, okay? For everything else is a compromise for some of us, okay? But I also realize, hey, it's fine, there's people who use it, but there needs to be some limitations because of the inconvenience and the hassle of this crew. And again, there's the safety issue of people trying to drive F-150s.
Although that's.
Have you been on the switchback trails in the last year or two?
Yeah,
That's what that trouble.
So just picture an F-150 going up that and coming down and tell me that's, first of all, is that wise and is that?
That's what the trail's actually originally built for. It was a vehicle access trail for hunting and sheep herding.
Yeah,
I talked to the grandson, the guy who built it.
in a day and an age when things probably were not what they were.
He lives down in Loper, can't remember his name, but when we were down in Loper doing mitigation, marketing, we had to go meet with all the people. And one of the guys down there said it was his, I think it was his grandpa, actually owned a lot of that, and he built that trail before Woodland Hills was even here. And it was what they would use in their farm vehicles and jeeps to get up there for sheep herding and hunting.
Hmm.
Most four-wheeler trails, that's what they were. They were actually used for vehicles for animal grazing, animals or hunting. And then just slowly they've been restricting the uses of them down to most of them are 50-inch ATVs.
The 50 inch is a pretty common thing in Boswell, but that's not a number that was pulled out of that house.
ATVs, 50-inch you get there also.
Well, UTVs.
Not UTVs.
UTVs.
There are some UTVs on the Mesa Pioneer, it's a 50-inch. You can get on. Castleton, yes, they probably have 50. My brother-in-law had a 50-inch Pioneer UTV.
That's a major mine. See, I thought it was larger than that, but maybe it's.
There's your Pioneer. Oh. Yeah, we took his, he'd go with us.
It's 1,000 though, it's not a 500.
Oh, he had 500. Probably why. He had 500, it could go anywhere, we go our ATVs. But now it's-
So it sounds like you, I know you're gonna talk, I'd suggest talk some more and see if you can.
Yeah,
come to it.
I'll put a draft together and send it around to everybody and see what you think, and then we can use that as a basis for public hearing in November. So, okay. Any miscellaneous, general plan, geez, yeah. The city has 99. Talking to you. Ted.
I know, I need to talk to someone too.
I did two today over here, but.
I saw you in here, I thought it would drag you, but you already left. I had to go ready to a meeting, then when I came back.
Okay. Because of a separate radiation. I kind of asked everybody to come tonight a little bit with your thoughts on your particular section of the general plan. How extensive you thought that the changes would likely or need to be made to it. And so we start to get an idea. And I would like you, if you have some changes recommended, I'd like you to start a draft of that. And start moving forward with it.
I want us to take the verbiage that's there and then go through and mark it and.
That would be, yeah. that would
Rather
be
than
good.
just doing a whole other paragraph.
Yeah. You want to cut and paste or
Something like that.
through things? Maybe I'll share first here. I've got two parts, physical facilities and annexation. I see with the things that we've been through a little bit with mitigation and other physical facility issues and reading through the plan, I think there's quite a bit more that can be said about physical facilities within the city and planning ahead for them and trying to factor those into our development and other needs maybe that the city has directly with physical facilities. So I think there's quite a bit more that probably needs to be said in that section of physical facilities. So I'll starting to put a little draft together, kind of around what's already there. Some things have kind of been overtaken maybe with other ideas, but so a lot of it would be not taking things out, but adding to them. As far as annexation, I think that's pretty complete. There might be a few changes here and there, but as I look at it, it looked to me to be pretty comprehensive. What I would propose, if any of you have any different ideas about it, open to them. But as we individually put our draft together and come up with a draft and circulate that so everybody sees everything and maybe make some other changes on a section that wasn't yours or somebody else's, some thoughts that you have. So I don't just get a single thinker here doing each section, but that they have input from anybody in the planning commission who wants to make it. We will culminate with a draft that will go to for public comment. So there may yet be further changes made to it from the draft that we do if with public comment that we feel that are appropriate to include and good to include in there. And of course, again, just as a reminder, as this eventually, I would anticipate giving a draft to the city council, not a final, and a lot of work goes into that final, but giving the draft to the city council and let them comment on it. I've said at least 3 times to them that we're open to any thoughts that they have on it. And so far, it's been 0.
Go wait till they give them this and then.
So that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm saying. Let's not do a final draft.
Yeah.
But give a draft after we've all had an opportunity to input into it. Our goal was to do it at the end of this year. We're not going to reach that goal. So, and there's nothing cast in stone that we have to make that, but at least a couple of months after the first of the year, I'd like to try to put it all together and line it up. And some will depend on our resource that we're looking from Jones and Mills company to help us with that. And we're a little bit of a flux with that, so I need to talk together about it.
Oh, I know, I've already got it.
See where that's going. So also for your information, there's a plan afoot to put a rather large community visioning initiative together. That part of it will probably end up in the general plan, but they're rather optimistic on what they think they can accomplish. I think they're going to have a number of meetings in the city here, neighborhood kind of meetings, and get input from people. And I'm not quite sure where that's all going to go. That hasn't
What do
been
you mean
approved yet.
community visioning?
What the community is about, what it wants to stand for, what it wants to be noted for, where do citizens feel that the city should be taken to, and in what by way of development and by way of what does the city want to have a theme about it, kind of a focus, what it would be known for.
And I might suggest too, that even with our work on the general plan, because usually the visioning and general plan go hand in hand, you kind of create the vision. And then your general plan aligns that vision with that vision. So I know there's part of the discussion that we're gonna have, but this visioning really is what sets the tone for the rest of the planning in the community.
So I keep hearing the term strategic planning.
That's where we're gonna
And
talk.
that's
It's
not
strategic.
general plan. You know,
No, so, and ignore strategic plan for now, we're having a discussion with some others about that. Because there. Something took a weird direction, and we've got to line that back in, so RCC. Their plan or their pitch. Is that you create, and this is what they do with communities all the time, you create your community vision. What do you want this community to be? What do you want it to be known for? And then they actually will help with guidance of the general plan as well, to align with that vision. Then they come in and mentor the planning commission. It's a planning group.
Isn't that MAG that they were talking about in that training?
that's
That's
Mags, yeah, this is,
Isn't it that MAG has a program called TAG, I thought? Where they
No.
will help you with your general fund?
so the city got funding already to do a general plan, hire some folks to help them with some planning. In the specific scope of that application for the funding, it stated community visioning, general plan, and codes and ordinances for some specific tasks that have to happen for that funding. Now, just recently kind of took a weird direction, this should really be included in what's going to be happening, so we've got to have discussion in the city, but. And the idea is that you start with, the first task is you start with the visioning, because that guides the rest of your documents and how, what you put together is your vision. Then it has your general plan and has to align with your vision, because if you are doing annexing or planning or what you want the city to be, you want that to align with your vision, you don't want it to be at odds. So you got to create the vision first, and you align your general plan with the vision, and then you align your codes and ordinances with the general plan. So that everything works in tandem, right? And that's the idea of what was pitched by Real Community Consultants, the planning group. So their direction is to not with them, with something else.
I mean, at the same time, though, I think there's things that we can do with the sections that we have as we look at them. And further develop those a bit. Some of them will be independent of the visioning. But eventually we anticipate that this visioning is going to get done. And then we can bring that into what we feel parts should be included in the general plan.
And that's what I was going to, actually, and that's what I was going to suggest, is that we as a planning commission should look at this and make our comments and recommendations and changes. Then suggestion is, and I know it's included in the scope of the planning company, to come work with the planning commission to help them align that general plan with the vision as well. So it's not like the planning commission is separate from what they're doing. They want to make it all one big and comprehensive. Because that's how most you work if you want to organize your community, right? You create the vision, you build general plan to the vision, and you build your code of ordinances to align the general plan. And that's going to end you get everything working in, so that ultimately your vision is being met. So I think that's the idea, is let's get the vision, and the plan was to have that by the end of the year.
So where's the vision coming from?
That's a good, so this planning group has been working on that. Aside from some weird direction that this thing went, and it's story for another day, but we've got to we're having some internal discussions about this weird direction, but ultimately that's where it would come from, and they have it's really vision by the community. They outline the basis of building the vision, but it gets all this community input,
Yeah, okay, and that's right. So where's the community input going to come, when,
public meetings.
how?
As
those-
organized yet.
Those have been organized because of this weird direction thing.
Well, I mean,
But one thing that we haven't really given a lot of attention to in the past with the general plan, and I'd like you to think about it as you read your sections, are the ordinance changes that we need to be made, that we need to make to move in that particular direction, facilitate any of that. Not that we're gonna make it right now, but let's look at that. We haven't really spent much time on that in the past. But I think in bringing them into the general plan, it will help us better utilize the general plan than we've used it in the past. It's kind of a document that we've done and set on the shelf, but if we have some direction in there, and a lot of that can be taken with ordinances to facilitate things or to move in that direction, or we need to make a change here, then I think that will help drive the general plan. So keep that in mind as you're.
So, yeah, I got it. So I'm economic development. And it talks about that, this is the general plan right here, okay? And it shows some future land use, which it shows some potential commercial zoning.
Right.
This is, but I don't think we have anything zoned commercially in the city, do we?
We don't.
Yeah. So this is an example of where we've got an idea, here's a suggestion, so maybe the next step would be to actually zone it. Do you follow me?
Yeah,
And-
but we
and
have
so-
a very time zoning, somebody's private.
I understand that.
But we can propose that to the individuals
Yes,
as they bring.
but that's why I say, taking it from a concept plan to an actual.
In most communities, that's what they'll kind of show what they want to zone have, even if it's private, they can zone it. They'll show where they want something, and that's where,
And the people can work off that as they start to develop and improve it.
Yeah,
so that's where you start with division, because you got to decide, do we want commercial, that's your first, right, do we want commercial? in the city?
So what?
And that's where you see that, what type of commercial. And then you come and build your general plan around that type of commercial, and then you get to the specifics of code ordinances, how do we enact that?
I wouldn't want a zone commercial because
It depends on what type
I'm
of.
trying to be
commercial.
nice.
Try harder.
So it's.
The feasibility of us having commercial here that's actually needed is,
Profitable.
well, it's not even profitable. If you were somebody investing in commercial zoning, would you build anything?
Yeah.
It depends on the type of commercial.
I understand, so there are probably some exceptions, but anybody that's in the development world, they're gonna go put that where it's gonna get in the big street, turn in that, well, that's gonna be Devil Street. So again,
And that's why you gotta let your vision. kind of
Yeah,
guide what
that's
you do in
exactly.
Weston. That's why, my only comment was, I think we got to not get ahead of the vision.
yes, that's what I'm asking,
no.
Whereas we
at the
could be.
same time, We waited for 6, 7, 8 months
and we're
for
still.
visioning to happen, and it hasn't.
Well,
So let's
Say it's
go
just-
forward with what we feel we can. We'll eventually,
We can start massaging this, and all there's more to come, yes.
So. Anyway.
Sorry, sir, I cut you off.
Your parts that you had or thoughts?
I don't really remember what you part sure. No, what I remember about my part was that. Most of what needed to be changed. Was that. The zoning maps, you know, and some of the charts were not up to date. A lot of them had to do with population projections. And stuff like that were things that needed to be updated, and I'm assuming. Part of that is going to be done with that grant money. Is that
It
right?
should be, it can be,
Yeah,
yeah. So it wasn't just visioning. I mean, it was general plan, I think, to go into the general plan, so,
vision, general plan, codes and ordinances, all those are included in that.
yeah,
yeah.
so.
Who's in charge of the funding?
Nobody.
Right now, it's a grant that carry.
So who's in possession of the funds?
The city will be,
It's
I
a
don't know that
it's a
it's
UDOT
right.
grant.
I've heard,
They send a check to the city.
so it's a check been sent?
I've heard yes and no, but I can't confirm it.
Okay.
Treasurer ought to know.
That's exactly in there.
Yeah, I don't think it
Wants
has
to
been,
know.
I don't think it has been.
Approved. It's not occurred. Obviously, criteria has to be met for the funding and completion, I understand that.
And that's all.
that criteria's been established.
Okay,
So with the application, you submit a scope of work.
Yeah.
Well, the initial application goes in, you say what you want to do with it. They approved the funding that we requested in the application, then we had to put together a scope of work. Yeah, we put the scope of work together, and it was I and the planning group that basically wrote that, using the application that Carrie and Chloe did. We wrote that scope of work, you send it to UDOT. They have just recently approved that scope of work, so with the approval of scope of work, then they send you the funds.
so that's kind of where it's at.
And you have to stay within those,
But the city will be in control of that as they implement whatever it is they agreed to.
they're in control of the money, but then you have to report once every couple of months to UDOT on how you're
How you're
spending,
progressing with it. Yeah.
how you're progressing and how you're spending the money.
There's like, are you spending it on what you said?
What you said you were.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I just didn't know if a third party was handling the funds or if it's.
no, it's to the city.
Okay.
Yes, they're in. What is the issue?
Yeah.
No, anyway.
I
Yeah.
asked no more.
Any other thoughts, Severin?
No.
Okay. John, any?
I'm good.
Lori,
No,
what parts did you have? Remind me.
the community vision,
The vision part, just the vision part?
I think so.
Okay.
Community vision? I thought that's it.
Okay, I've got it.
That's the whole thing right there.
So I'm probably going to ask you, to the degree you can, to attend some of these visioning sessions that the city's going to have. And kind of get in a loop and.
But I think Carrie asked Ted and I to be on these little groups with the citizens and.
That's exciting.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Larry, what?
Oh, he's here.
Okay, what sections did you have?
Parks and Trails, as I recall.
Okay, just the one?
I think so.
Okay. Where you're able to, it might not be a bad idea for you to attend some of those committee meetings they have. And talk to them a little bit about this and have some dialogue with them a little bit back and forth. I know John's part of that committee. But I would encourage you to attend those kind of representing the planning commission.
I've tried to reach out to several members, but I never get a response when I do.
Reach out to Ben, he'll talk to you, Ben Hilliard.
Yeah,
Will do. I actually have talked to Ben several times and he said, well, yeah, that he would get back with me, but that hasn't happened and I need to be more diligent, I guess.
I'll pass that on.
I've also talked to several other members, but and I finally did get some responses which said, yeah, we'll keep you posted, but they don't.
okay. And
They're kind of a, I don't know what John's doing there, but they won't talk about anything.
They got trails going through your yard.
When do you come home?
They just had a meeting last
Yeah,
night,
we meet the night before planning commission, so.
so you can get online. I talked to Jody about getting online and hearing that meeting, and so you know what business was transacted or what they talked about, so you
Okay.
might, as you're able to do that, that might be another thought.
Okay.
All right, and Ted, what did I?
So I had natural environment and transportation.
Okay,
My comments, so I read through and wrote a few comments back a while ago.
it might be good as you're able to connect with this MAG group also. I know I attended one of the meetings where we did some visioning. And they're seeking public input now, but they've got a website that they have a lot of information on. Might be helpful to you to see kind of what they're doing that would involve us down here and things with transportation.
Yeah.
So,
And it was pretty, I mean. Yeah, I got those two sections, I read through there. I wrote notes, but in general, it's just, it needs to be, my general comment was very basic, it needs to be action. It looked like it was check the box, we could put this section in there, it said. We want to maintain it as basic light as we can. Okay, what does that mean? I don't know. So those are the things we're gonna.
well, you may very well bring a different perspective to it than we had 5 years ago too, with that information, with your background and things, so.
And it was, there were a lot of great things in there, and in the plan, I read the entire plan, and there's a lot of good stuff in there, and I think a lot of great things that just need to be, kind of made actionable And some of these be tweaked, because some of it's still out, and just, I should say, there's been new information since the general last period, so this is a great time for an update. I think.
Yeah.
And I think this whole process is what the city really needs to go through. It's the visioning, the planning, the pavement tying everything together. I think it'll be a great process. So,
Okay.
Good work.
Anything else on? Anybody's? Agenda? Ben, did you have anything of?
No, I just love these so much.
You can make all the like likes to solve.
Appreciate it, letting me hang around, I guess we're done, is that?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Good, thanks, good luck. Glad to be anytime.
Yeah.
Have a good night. Okay, take a motion.
Make the motion to we adjourn.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Thank you. Good space learning, thank you for
Thank you.
tuning in. Have a safe trip back.
If I come back.
Oh, okay.